Hello and welcome to 365 Days of Healing. Today we're going to have a look at life lessons and the themes that may run through our life. What is the reason behind the life lessons that we are learning about here on this earth plane? Well, the energy that we've come in with, and that's also attached to our DNA, and from past lives and the karma that we have brought with us. Now, karma is not negative or positive per se. It is about balancing energy. And if it is perceived as negative, then the life lesson will come with us if we haven't learned that lesson. Why has this happened? Well, at the point where we were all a part of the source, we actually fractalized. We made a choice at that point to divide and to experience all these things that we experience here on this earth plane. And it seems that we come here wanting to learn a series of lessons that allow us to awaken and become more and more conscious, and then ascend and go back to the source. Now, that is a system of belief that I have and many others on this journey have, and it serves us very well. It doesn't matter what your belief is. There's no right and wrong. There's just this journey that we call life. However, I've found personally that when I didn't take note of the life lessons that I came here to learn, they repeated themselves over and over and over again in one form or another. And it seemed to me on this journey that these lessons were here to be a challenge for me until I learned to respond to them in a different manner, or remove myself from a situation that I had bought into being a part of. Now, that seems a strange thing. So my great life lesson was one of abandonment, and then the associated things that came with feeling abandoned. And right from birth, I was abandoned. I was adopted, and I became abandoned by my mother. And I'm not trying to blame her at all. It was something that I was born to experience, obviously. And so I had to come to terms with what that meant. And then a whole series of behaviors that were set up in place in me because of that sense of being given away by my mother. Now, that led me down all sorts of tracks of attaching to people, thinking it was outside of myself that I could feel needed. So I very often gave more of myself because I felt if I gave more, people would need me more. And then when I needed them, strangely enough, they weren't there, and I felt abandoned once again. So the lesson repeated itself over and over and over again until I was tired of what the lesson was about. And I made a conscious choice to change how I viewed it. Instead of seeing this life lesson as something negative and not good for me, I started trying to find ways of why it was beneficial for me. And I realized that that changed my whole outlook on life. So it seems to me, just on my journey, that there are certain themes that are repeated over and over and over again in people's lives. Now, you may have financial issues. Finances are actually only a form of energy. So it could be that you feel you don't deserve. So you may have come in to learn that lesson. And we've learned, there's a myriad lessons that we've come here to learn and to change our perception of what it is doing to us. As I said, if we reframe it, we can actually make it something of benefit for us. All right. So there are some very straightforward ones: abandonment, betrayal, neglect, abuse. They're four big ones that seem to repeat themselves many, many times in people's lives. And it is how we perceive those life lessons and how we respond to those life lessons that allow us to be free of the life lesson. There'll be other lessons for us to learn, but that first step away from feeling that these things are happening to us, and then reframing that and seeing it as a gift in disguise so that we can grow in consciousness and become more awakened, it changes our whole perception, and it changes our whole neural pathway that is happening in our brain, which is our central computer. Now, I'm not saying that when you've learned these lessons that these same things don't happen again, because you will be tested to see what resolve you have and how you deal with it time and time again until it just is not an issue. You negate it. You just leave it where it is and you move over here and do something else. You reframe, as I say, what things are happening to you, and you reframe it into what benefits are coming your way. Now, I know that sounds very difficult to get our heads around, and it is. I'm not saying this is an easy path, but if we don't reframe it and find another way to understand these life lessons and these themes that are repeating through our lives, we are destined to have it repeat over and over and over again ad nauseum, not just in this lifetime, but we will take that same energy into the next lifetime. And it can happen again and again and again. Now, we have the ability to make those choices. We have the ability to reframe the way we perceive what is happening. Instead of seeing it happening to us, we are going to maybe start looking at it that it is happening for us. And that just reframes it to start with. So a difficult sort of subject, but a very valuable lesson in starting to reframe the way we look at what is happening in our world and what we perceive is happening to us. Instead of seeing it that way, let's see it as happening for us so we can learn the lessons and rid ourselves of the negative energy that we are allowing to be perpetuated within us. And when we do that, it is when our bodies heal, our minds heal, our emotional bodies heal, and our spiritual self, our higher self, goes to the next level of understanding. It goes to the next dimension and then the next dimension. And so it goes on until we return to source. And we are living in a state of absolute peace, harmony, and joy. So big one, life lessons. Why do they come? How do we deal with them? And as I say, if we reframe, instead of it happening to us to our detriment, let's have a look at it as happening for us and how we can rise out of it so that it's just like water off a duck's back. Because we can't change other people's behaviours. They have to choose to change their behaviours, but we can choose to change our own. One of life's great lessons. So namaste, my friends. Thank you for listening, and I'll see you again next time.